We live. Hey, goddamn camera.
Dude, you adjust shit more than anybody.
Well, the problem is because it's like I've told
need.
you this before, Jamie. Because it's like my camera sits above my
So
monitor.
is mine.
My monitor, though, like the power off button's on the bottom of it. So I go to press the power off button and it just boosts it up just a little bit, like a millimeter every time. Every time I hit it, it bumps the camera. Hey, how you doing? It's JJ here, Mr. Overthinker, along with Jamie and Austin Reddick.
Who doesn't think at all?
Howdy.
Funny story. We talked about this, Austin, a little bit ago. It's like how Jamie and I are. The reason we work as friends is like we are the most yin and yang couple there is, right? Like Jamie's a F it, let's go guy, and I'm like I have to think about this 18,000 different ways from Sunday before I make any decision.
Yeah, I'm like, we'll figure it out on the fly, boys. Let's go.
Compliment. So welcome. I hope everybody's enjoying being in football season. I'm not, but
shocker.
It's week one. It's early. How'd you guys do in fantasy? Jamie, told me a little bit. Austin, how'd you do in fantasy?
Well, I'm in 2 leagues. One league won in a blowout, and that league, it's an 18 league with like one of my buddies, his wife, some of his friends and stuff. So it's not full of people that are like super up to date on fantasy football.
There's some auto drafts going on. Yeah.
I have the luxury of working from home. So half the day I have a YouTube video up just covering fantasy football. That one, I'm in a really good spot. The other league, I had like the worst week ever. Still only lost by 3 points. I had Antonio Gibson and Drake London in 2 starting spots, giving me a total of 1.7 points. Although I had Brandon Ayuk sitting on my bench who scored 32. Still came down to Monday night. I was down 3 points. I had Breece Hall. My opponent had Josh Allen. Josh Allen turns the ball over 4 times. Not Breece Hall. I had Dalvin Cook. Turns the ball over 4 times. The Jets get down there to like the 6-yard line. Dalvin Cook's in the backfield. I'm like, please, for the love of God, score a touchdown. And then they throw it, and Garrett Wilson makes one of the most ridiculous catches I've ever seen in my life, which I fought for. It was dope, but I still ended up losing the game. But that league, I'll be fine going forward. So it was a interesting week 1, but fantasy just makes watching football so much more entertaining. Like every game, there's a reason to be paying attention.
Yes, I'll give you that, Jamie. You did decent, although
2-1. My big money league, I won handedly,
which is the most important.
Yes, that's definitely the most important. I literally only had to make 1 trade because I had Aaron Rodgers on my bench, so it didn't count towards money. So everything's great. It's a $5 transaction. This is a $500 league. I'm in a $500 league. And every transaction is $5. If you want to make a trade, it's $20. All that money goes into the pool. The winner of the toilet bowl winner gets their money back. And then the extra transactional money, they actually give it out as like highest points for the season, that kind of stuff. So people can actually make money. Like if they just like dominate the regular season and, 1994 Chief it, and just completely suck in the playoffs. Yeah, so there you go. But yeah, no, I had a great time. I had Brandon Ayuk in all 3 leagues, started him in 2 out of 3. I thought I started him in 3 of the leagues because I knew he was going to be the man. And yeah, I lost that one because I was a dummy.
If you want to feel like less of a dummy, I had Drake London last year, where he still did nothing. I still started him over Ayuk week 1. Like, no, they got Desmond Ridder in there. I think Atlanta's they're going to step it up. They're going to be better. No, 1 target, no catches, big old goose egg, and I lose the week. Because I'm dumb.
You know what you could be? You could be a SEC team and beat an FBS team by only 3 or 4 points.
Hey, a win is a win.
You never apologize for winning.
Never apologize for winning. Everybody's got that one team that always causes them problems. Lifetime, we are 1-2 against Middle Tennessee. Like in 03 or 04, they had to miss an extra point in overtime. We lost to them with Drew Lock in a shootout in 16 for no reason whatsoever. So I fully expected us to barely beat them, to be honest with you, because for some reason it was all in Columbia. Every time. I mean,
we beat a Big Ten school.
Yeah. You decided to actually like finish the game, because you guys were up by ridiculous amounts, and then Kansas did Kansas things, and it's like Illinois is just crawling back into this game. I'm like, they're gonna fuck around and lose this game to Illinois.
So they have the second worst. We're gonna get into wrestling because this actually goes into wrestling a little bit. So there was 2 weak ass targeting calls all weekend. One of them was on Kansas. The dude was literally wrapping up, and the guy moved over onto him when he was going like this, and his head looked like it was like that, but he went like that, and he ended up getting called targeting, even though he hit him in the chest. And then the other one was a Notre Dame one. And that was literally the weakest of weak. Dude led with his shoulder like this. The guy ran into his helmet, yet he got called for targeting. Weak as hell.
It's not college football unless you get some weak-ass targeting some week.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, we will see for sure. So we got our first real test is this week here. So I'm still not sold on our quarterback. Our defense is solid. I think it's great.
Really quick on the football things leading into wrestling. Did y'all see the clip of the ref that got absolutely trucked, then sat up like the Undertaker and threw the flag?
Yes. Dude got the shit kicked out of it. It was like
he totally Undertakered it. Yes, I'm glad you. Yes.
Oh, it was so good.
And then they're all like, you spent like 10 minutes, like making sure he's okay. And I'm like, the dude just Undertakered on live TV. He's fine.
Yeah. So last football thing, hot take time. And I know this might ruffle some feathers, but there's 2 football teams I really hate in this world. One is Alabama, the other is Texas. Alabama because they are who they are, and Texas thinks they are who they are. So like there's this thing. So I was hyped about this game because no matter what, Jamie was gonna see an L on one of those overhyped teams. Well, the most overhyped team this year is definitely Alabama because they don't have a quarterback, and Texas, horns up, ladies and gentlemen. Got that dub. I always want to go horns down, but I had to give them their props because if there was a lesser evil to win, Texas was definitely that lesser evil because I hate Bama.
Funny saying
every fiber
Texas is the lesser evil because Texas is Texas.
Wait, but you do know why University of Texas fans are some of the most annoying football fans, right?
Tell us, Mr. Resident Texan.
Fans. That's why. Yeah. The UT folks are just like the Dallas Cowboys folks. They have this sense of superiority, but they haven't won shit in decades.
Because they exist. Because they are.
Like, I was a senior in high school when Vince Young was at Texas and they were relevant. And that was almost 20 years ago. Still more recent than the Cowboys, but that's why those fans are so obnoxious. They just think because they were good at one point in time, they just get to be good forever. And that just... That doesn't work.
I love
we can almost go right from that to a Jericho segment, but we'll wait till we get there in Dynamite.
Hold on. Are we talking about Texas or Notre Dame?
Oh,
they're right up there too. But Notre Dame played in national championship a couple years
because
ago.
They woke up in the morning. Yes, I do love it. I do want to give a shout out to our good friend Heather and chat. By the way, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. For everybody
and
joining us.
Because Clint's right there with the rock chalk.
I was gonna skip over that, but whatever. You know, not everybody could be right 100% of the time. That's okay. But no, I do want to say because Heather's pulling out. You talk about no, that's not happening.
Here we go.
No. We are tolerant of KU fans on this podcast. Okay. All right.
We are inviting.
Anyway, Heather's pulling out the good old fashioned hate because she's from Tennessee, and I do love to see that. So, all right. Enough football. Let's talk about some wrestling, shall we?
There's a lot of wrestling to talk about. Lots and lots. Do you guys want to start with Collision? Because Collision, I didn't watch it. I had it recorded, but obviously I got spoiled on Twitter. Thank you, Twitter. But the big news, I think, of all of Collision was definitely the returning Jade Cargill.
Yeah. So Chris Statlander, open challenge, defends the TBS championship, wins it easily. Cool, whatever, right? Yeah. And then here comes Jade. Which, first of all, she's attached by the Renegade Twins, which I like seeing because I really like the Renegade Twins. I think that they're got a bright future ahead of them. They're real solid. Love you too, Clint. They're real solid, competitors. I think that they got a good future ahead of them. I like the look. It's all good, right? So I like seeing them getting some TV time. And, and then here comes Jade Cargill to come beat them up and then beat up Chris Statlander, which, okay, we were going there. I know this panel had some Jamie specifically didn't know if she was going to be coming back to wrestling, 100%. But she is, yes, for now. And there's a title match for her set up on Rampage this week.
Yeah, on a Friday. Is it happening? Do you think it's going to happen?
I don't know why this isn't happening for New York. You can have two women's matches now because you have Jade Cargill back.
Not New York. You have something going on October 1st.
Wrestle Dream.
I would rather at Wrestle Dream see Statlander in there with any Joshi you can bring over, which they've been talking about. Apparently, they do want to try and bring some Joshis over.
He's dying to get Julio. I know that.
Yeah, that would be great. Who wants Statlander and Cargill? Part 2.
Who wants Statlander as champion still? I hate to say it like that.
But even that, as much as I would like to see someone else take that title and get a run with it, I also don't want to see it go back to Jade because, like I said last week, then we are right back to where we were 2 months ago.
Exactly.
You've kind of booked yourself now, and that's probably why this match is on Rampage. No one's going to really see it. No one really wants to see it because there's not a good solution either way. I think the best way out of this is you do the match on Rampage and you get anybody
the
running
Renegade
out and getting
Twins.
involved to take Jade elsewhere.
The Renegade Twins.
Like anybody, just get someone out there. Jade loses because someone that's going to take her attention interferes, and we get Jade doing something else and not just winning the TBS title back. Because you're in a weird spot where either she just loses to Statlander on her big return, or she just goes back to just being the champion, which had run its course previously. So not good either way, but
yeah. And
give me Statlander and a Joshi on Wrestle Dream, and it'll be worth it. Oh, the hat's out.
We have a guest appearance here. Mark Stradamus, ladies and gentlemen.
Hear me out. So, I think my daughter wore it, so like I have like hairs just everywhere. So Jade Cargill, Chris Statlander will happen, but it will get interrupted by somebody. Okay, so then it won't officially happen. No one will be able to win clean, nothing like that. End up probably in no contest of some matter. Okay, so then they're gonna set up at Wrestle Dream a 3-way. And everybody knows, especially if you're a Lonely Island fan, it's not gay if it's in a 3-way, right? So, we are going to have, Mark Stradamus is saying, Jade, Stat, third person, and that third person is going to not be Julia. Though I really want it to be more than every fiber in my body. But I think it's going to be Suzu Suzuki. Another Stardom girl. It's going to definitely at minimum be a Stardom girl.
I 100% don't think it'll be Julia as well. Suzuki's a good pick.
I know.
I thought maybe Thunder Rosa would be. Yes, I see the hat. Yes.
It's the hat. The hat does it.
I think he wants Julia, but he wants it in a big spot because she deserves the big spot, right? Honestly, Mercedes Moné Julia, that's what you want, right? But you gotta get Mercedes in here first.
You usually gotta pay double for that kind of action, Cotton.
You do indeed.
That's a
So you're calling Suzuki, okay?
Yes.
The jiggle's so good.
I got the jiggle down, man. It's like it twerks too. It's like, you know. Hey.
It's a total twerk, man. It's just
it's like a butt cheek right there, you know, just the butt crack.
So okay. First of all, were you guys surprised to see Jade Cargill back and see her back on, honestly, a random collision, kind of?
Yes.
I thought it would be a pay-per-view.
I did too.
I can see her making the return at Wrestle Dream. I understand why he brought her back, though. I don't know. I have a feeling that she's just going to go out there and win it, and that's going to be that.
That's certainly a possibility. It wouldn't surprise me. I think that's more likely than Jamie's idea of a triple threat. As much as I genuinely enjoy Jade Cargill as a character, and I think you've seen a lot of progression, I think putting her in a triple threat on pay-per-view is a terrible idea.
Protects her.
It protects her, and it gives the possibility for the match to be better because Jade has 2 matches that aren't that bad and matches that are really bad.
I think having 3 people in there pushes it more towards the gonna be bad category. It's such for less experienced wrestlers, just being mindful of that third person and the timing of everything is so different that I think Jade looks best in a one-on-one match where she gets to give like 60 to 70% of the offense and she has someone fighting from underneath. I don't think a triple threat, even with Statlander and any Joshi, like that's another thing too, because Statlander could go with the Joshis, but now you've got Jade sticking out like a sore thumb.
What to do with a Joshi?
Yeah, they could go that route. I'm hoping they don't. I hope it's the something gets interfered and we just send Jade off on a different storyline with literally anybody else.
Please.
And then have someone else beat Statlander for the TBS title, because the run's just been kind of,
Question for
That
you
being said, that doesn't mean someone else's run wouldn't be booked just as meh, because it's AEW and that's how they book it.
Yeah, the women's storylines are a little weak.
Well, and question for you. Speaking of that, Jamie, because Jade Cargill is such a dichotomous figure in AEW.
Good word.
Thank you. Because she has such great charisma. Her persona's good. The character's good, right? All that. That bitch was annoying at first, but then she kind of grew into it, you know, and then but the in-ring is lacking, and now she's had time off, so she's gonna be rusty on top of all that. Do you guys remember somebody who was at a top star? Who is your most recent example, or somebody that comes to your mind when you think of somebody that kind of like star power wise and ring aptitude wise matches up with what Jade Cargill currently is?
CM Punk? Saraya would be good. I'm not looking for an answer. I'm looking. This is just more of an open I'm
thing.
just thinking, like, you know, when they came in, the ring rust is real. But or devil's advocate Jamie here, maybe she's actually been working on her craft and getting better.
I hope so.
Maybe she's got more than 4 moves. Maybe she's gonna work in a 5th. Maybe she'll actually do a suplex. You know, because she only does the big boot, the implant buster, or jaded. Sorry. Then what else? She's got a clothesline, and then she's got yelling in your face. Those are only moves I know that she does.
Didn't she do a fall away slam?
She has
One time. Yes.
All right, one, but it's there. It happened.
Done a fall away slam. Yep.
It's in the toolbox. It can be done.
You know, she needs to be able to do a moonsault. You thought I was gonna say lion tamer. I know you both.
I 100% thought. I was like,
Got
fucking
you,
lion tamer.
I'd be all right with Jade busting out a lion tamer.
I mean, physically, she looks like black
Clover tamer.
She looks like Black Charlotte Flair. I mean,
Physically, she looks better than Charlotte Flair.
I mean, she does look better than. I mean, she looks better than most. Almost any other woman out there wrestling. I mean,
She's for maybe into Julian Saub, man.
Other than maybe Jordan Grace, I would say she has the best body and she's the most chiseled female wrestler there is. Nobody touches Jordan Grace. Nobody.
She's built like if you made a cartoon superhero woman.
Right.
That was just the peak of human physical ability.
Which makes it sense why she's the poster, right? She's on the poster because of that. Cool. Right. Great. Give me something in the ring. Something. I don't know. We'll see. Cody Rhodes is a good example. I would argue Cody still has better in-ring ability than Jay.
Yeah, I think Cody's in-ring ability has always been as good as it needs to be.
Yeah.
And at times it's been great too. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him. I think star power, but limited in ring, similar to Jade. I would throw out maybe like a Braun Strowman.
Okay, I'm going with that.
6 weeks we talked about where he was like the hottest thing in pro wrestling, just trucking things, and he's got that presence. Just a human. You just look at him like you look at Jade. You're like, how does a human being look like that? Like, how? People aren't supposed to be that like perfectly built, because Braun Strowman is just a monster of a human being, and I think that was around the time too where he was like leaning out and looking jacked too at 6'7" or whatever it was. So yeah, I'd probably throw out him as one that like the charisma was there, the presence was there, the ring work was fine enough at times, but occasionally bad.
Goldberg.
Ooh.
I think that's a fair point. My only counterpoint would be that Goldberg's peak was at a time where the best wrestling was still pretty much okay at best. Like that late 90s Attitude Era, you had a couple cruiserweights doing some cool stuff, but that whole late 90s WCW title picture was like the older early 90s stuff just lasted a little bit too long, and they didn't start stealing from the little guys yet, and it was just a lot of real basic shit.
Well, you can go early 90s, you got a lot of charismatic characters. You can go up and down the board, you know. I mean, you can pull out, now, not the same level of stardom that Jade Cargill has, but you can go as far as like the Berserker, right? Somebody who had a great character, but my God, that in-ring work was 2 moves of nothingness.
I think you could like throw 1994 Lex Luger in there as well. Which, like,
that's a good one.
Good call.
Earlier Lex, the ring work was there when he was working with like Ron Simmons, WCW. The ring work was there. The 94 WWF run, the ring work was not there, but the presence, the charisma, the character was. It's just the matches, people stopped just kind of giving a shit.
Well, like it or not, we are back in the world of Jade Cargill, and hopefully, I said, here's hoping they do something with it. I just got a bad feeling that everything.
Maybe it's gonna be a face turn. Maybe she's gonna have a face turn, and people are gonna love her, and she's gonna do amazing things.
I know. I would honestly be interested to. I would be interested to see what a face Jade Cargill would be, because she has like her daughter with her all the time, so she's got a built-in story arc to do face turn.
I gotta be better for my daughter. That's easy.
I mean,
I think it would work. I think even during her heel run, people wanted to like Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just for her size and how limited an experience she was, just having her be the bigger heel that beats up on people is a lot easier. But I would like to see a face Jade Cargill. I think that would make some money.
Cool. Well,
I do too.
Hopefully we will. We'll see coming up here. So this Friday we got a title match, and then who knows where we're gonna go with that. Yeah, we'll see. We got Grand Slam next week, and we had, I don't know if you'll call us a go home show, but it felt like a go home show, sort of.
So can I just call it out? I felt incredibly bored watching this episode. I don't know if it was just me, because I was a little tired, because the wife going into work at 7 a.m. and me having to do everything with the kids is wearing me out, and having to freaking go in the office today. But, you know, maybe that's it. But I was just like, this show is meh.
I didn't feel that bored with it.
Oh,
I thought it was an okay episode.
I almost fell asleep in the main event.
I thought it was about as good as last week, to be honest with you.
Oh, last week was better.
I think last week was more exciting just because you had some newer stuff developing that like you weren't really expecting. I think this week, more than a go home show, it was like a setup show, but it was setting up shit you pretty much already knew was going to happen.
Right. I think that's why I was like,
I think that was the real hang up to, like, there wasn't really much progression of anything outside of what you assumed was where things were heading anyway. So it just kind of ran in place for 2 hours.
There was maybe one thing I would say on the whole show that was something that was not like, you know.
Yeah, there were a couple small things as we go through it. You obviously will get to them. There were a couple small things that I thought were promising and enjoyable, and I thought the show as a whole certainly wasn't bad. But yeah, it seemed like they had 2 weeks of TV to fill before they get to their big show next week, and they just did it.
Maybe you spread out your big shows, your pay-per-views a little bit more, and not try and do one every fucking 3 weeks. But hey, Jamie, let's get into Dynamite.
Thanks, Warner Brothers. All right, but so we'll start off, ladies and gentlemen. I know we live in weird times right now, and before I get into this, I really want this heartfelt message. I know life's just been really weird for a lot of people, and we need to have that moment of clarity and centering. And you know what? I think all's right in the world now, because Jon Moxley bled on TV, ladies and gentlemen.
It's been 3 weeks, guys. It's
and have you noticed the world just tanking in the last 3 weeks? I think not.
Hey, you don't fight Big Bill and come out of that without bleeding.
In Cincinnati, over Jon Moxley, and he better damn well bleed. Check, and check. What do you guys think of this match?
It was good. Like, I mean, he bled. Big Bill looked like what you'd want out of a Big Bill kind of guy. But you knew how this was going to end up. Like, we knew how it was going to end.
But again, Jon Moxley could do every match, and it was just fine. You know, he's in there with a monster this time, as opposed to Ray Phoenix, who he has on next Wednesday. You know, and it still was a good match. It was fine.
Yeah, Mox is probably the best on the roster. I mean, mostly just because, not like best overall on the roster. He's up there. He's certainly one of the better ones. I think he's probably currently the best of the roster at elevating people that are clearly beneath him on the card. I think guys like Dragon could do it better. You just don't get as much of it. You did previously with Dragon, the lead up to the MJF match where he was just going out there for 7 weeks in a row, facing like the best guys they could throw. But since, the early part of this year, Mox time and time again gets thrown out there and makes the other person that isn't going to win still look like a big deal. And I thought he did a great job of making Big Bill look the way you want a monster to look. It looked like Big Bill could beat him. You knew he wasn't going to. But I think there's a lot of value in Big Bill. I think putting him with Starks is magic. Genius. I think the big silent monster with the loudmouth arrogant guy always works.
It worked for Big Bill once.
He looked good in this match, and I hope they do more things with him and with Starks being involved with him. But yeah, good opener. A lot better than last week's. I would say like a lot, not so a lot better in the sense of just the match. But like Mox and AR Fox, you don't really care about Mox making AR Fox look like any kind of big deal because you kind of know what AR Fox is on the card. Yeah. Monsters can always get pushed. Monsters are real easy to slide into bigger stuff. So it was nice to see them build Big Bill up a bit in a match that he was ultimately going to lose.
I mean, there was one moment where I was like, holy shit, Big Bill's going to win this. And I knew he wasn't. But for a second there, I thought, oh, what if they actually put the belt on? No. That's what you want.
And the fact that Danielson had to come out to fight Starks off to keep the interference, that makes it look like with a little help from Starks, Big Bill might win, which a lot of times you'll see, not that Mox is a true babyface right now, but he's in his hometown and he's liked by the crowd anyway. Normally you would just see the babyface fight off the double teaming and just beat the heel that isn't going to win anyway. So I thought they protected Big Bill, even though he was losing. I hope that means they're going to put him into some more shit because I want more Big Bill on my TV.
Same. So with this pairing of Big Bill and Ricky Starks, I get Shawn Michaels Diesel vibes so hard.
Okay.
And I am here for it because it makes so much sense because you have the super charismatic front guy. He's the muscle, but then he wins some stuff and he's that monster who can do anything. Like, I just get Michael's Diesel vibes so much out of this pairing, and it makes my heart so happy.
There's a lot of like 1993 Shawn Michaels in Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
I mean, there
definitely
really is.
Yeah.
So clearly they're setting up. This is a setup to everybody's point. So later in the night, they set up a tag team match on Collision, right? Is it Collision?
Collision, yes. Collision in Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you have Claudio and Danielson going up against Big Bill and Starks.
Right. And I think that my guesstimation is that they're setting up they already did a strap match between them, but they're going to have a big blow off in Seattle, Bryan Danielson's home state, at Wrestle Dream between Starks and Danielson.
No.
Somehow.
Nope. That's wrong.
Nope. Danielson's dance card's already full for that night.
Oh, that's right. He already got booked. I forgot he did get booked for that match. Good call.
No, he's going to go against Mox. They're setting up Starks and Mox, which I am 1,000% behind.
Okay, that's even better.
But since you brought it up about Danielson,
yeah, I totally forgot that. Yeah, my bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been watching the show for just a fraction of some time, and if you're new to the show, welcome. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But I am a big fan of technical wrestling. And Bryan Danielson is arguably the best technical wrestler there is out there right now.
You say arguably because there's somebody who claims to be better.
There's another person over here. Yes, Britt Baker. There's another person over here who also says that they're the greatest technical wrestler, but they happen to work for New Japan Wrestling. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Wrestle Dream is giving us our wrestling wet dream of technical wrestling. Yes, we get Bryan Danielson going up against Zack Sabre Jr. Give me some of that legit jizz in your pants.
I know Jamie had to change his pants the second that was announced.
Dude, I have like all the Lonely Island references tonight.
You go all
clearly
tonight.
That's my theme tonight.
I mean, apparently you're now doing the music references. I gotta start doing movie references apparently. But Austin, what do you? Because you're a big technical wrestling fan as well, right?
Yes, I enjoy technical wrestling. I enjoy technical wrestling as an attraction almost, and I think for Wrestle Dream, booking this match is perfect. I don't want to see an entire show of all like technical style match. I like a good variety of everything. But I like when you're going to throw a match that's clearly there to be the technical wrestling match, and you throw two of the best in the world in it. Give that to me 100% of the time. It reminds me of Danielson's, it was a 2006-ish, 2005-ish Ring of Honor run, where the bald heel Danielson that was going out there and they were throwing every technical wrestler they could at him to just go out there and put on a clinic. I think this match is going to be an absolute banger. And I'm glad they're not even wasting like time doing too much of a setup. You had I think you had like a Twitter promo from both, or you had an in-ring from Danielson, but no, you don't need to like build that up. Just announce it, and I'm there.
Go there. And shout out Big Rob. Love us, Big Rob. Like to see you in here. Miss you, man. But yes, technical wrestling, I agree. As a technical wrestling fan, I can't have it for 4 straight hours. I need to break up the monotony. I need to see some arguably bad wrestling. So like a Britt Baker. But I mean, when she's healthy, when she's not healthy currently. But
oh man.
yeah, I'm just ripping into her. She's just not healthy right now. I think that's what's going on. I'm hoping, because she did actually put on some good matches previously. But to your point, I'm right there with you. Yes.
In Dan's backyard, yeah. So that's, I mean, and that's another match we'll talk about later. But I like their setting up, and the fact that so far what they've announced for it's not all. So I kind of like not making this Forbidden Door 2.5, right? I like sprinkling it in because, I mean, that gives me the indication that maybe we're going to get some of this at more pay-per-views, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of some New Japan here and there mixed in on the card every time or every couple pay-per-views. Yes, give me some of that. So I like the fact they're not going all out that. And this has got all the reasoning in the world to happen just because Rob made mention of it because they wanted to do this match at Forbidden Door 21, but Danielson was hurt. So somehow Zach found himself on the pre-show because of that. So, yes, yeah. This should be a banger.
Really quick before we move on from Danielson, did y'all hear the news earlier this week that he's likely retiring next year?
No, and why are you doing this to me?
Well, I heard that's his plan.
We gotta talk about it. It's not confirmed, but apparently he said he's going to retire when his daughter turns 7, which is in May. And from what I've heard, early reporting on it is that he's probably not going to like full on retire, but it'll be just he shows up every once in a while kind of thing. But
that's what he'll probably do.
Like the Flair retirement.
Not quite like the Flair or Funk level of I'm retiring for about 10 days and then I'm getting right back in. I hope if that's the case, and whether he stops or just slows down, whatever it is after next year, I just hope more than anything else that he stays healthy for the next, 7-8 months, wherever it is. And we get another tear like we got in January of this year of just week to week, just him going out there and wrestling the best people they could throw at him.
Well, I know that he said that because after he came over to AEW, he made heavy mention of it, especially because of his history and the head brain injuries and all that stuff, right? And he knows he has a limited amount of time, but there are certain things he wants to do, and he's done a good number of those things, right? He's, this is just another notch on that belt here, and if he is retiring in a year, he can still get in the last couple things on that list. So I'd like to see him. I think you're right. I think you'll see him kind of pop in like once or twice a year sort of thing, right? Or he might be kind of a little bit connected to the BCC long term, but be that guy who's like back in the home office and he pops in when shit's going awry to like beat up Wheeler Yuta and then leave, something like that.
And he's the kind of guy you don't imagine is really going to get rusty. You don't imagine he's going to get out of shape.
No.
He's not one of these guys that's going to retire and then like he'll end up looking like Greg the Hammer Valentine in like 10 years, like the old wrestler gut and stuff. What's great about Danielson is he has so much credit with the entire pro wrestling family. Like you don't meet anyone that says, "Oh, I hate Bryan Danielson. I just don't like watching." Yeah. Like everyone likes Dragon. He's the perfect guy that you don't like the Zack Sabre Jr. match is coming up. You don't need much setup. You could trot him out there 3 times a year. You've got a big show coming up. Have whatever guy you want him to wrestle, walk out and start cutting a promo, and 30 seconds in, hit Danielson's music, have him walk out and be like, "No, I'm going to wrestle you at that show."
That's what they did for the strap match, literally.
Yeah. Like, it'll work every time.
So, would you consider Danielson the ace?
No.
Right now, yes.
I would not, only because of the fact that he's been injury prone for like the better part of a decade now. I think the reliability, the availability, just you can't trust it's going to be there. And okay. I would say right now Mox is AEW's ace. That's the guy. The crowd still loves him. You can trot him out there with anybody. I think if Danielson had several injuries since being signed and had worked a full-time schedule, 100% would be the ace. But I think he's just not wrestling enough to really put him in that spot.
And I would put him as the ace personally, because while you're 100% right on all that, I think that when Danielson shows up, that's a bigger that's the match of the card every time, right? He had no build-in for All Out and delivered a straight-up banger with Ricky Starks, and yes, he's not there every week, but I think that adds to the fact that why I consider him the ace, because when he is there, people really care about it. Really,
that's fair. I always just look at the ace as like, that's your guy you can rely on no matter what.
That's your John Cena. That's your Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, that is your guy. And like I said, I don't think it's for lack of talent or anything like that. I just think he unfortunately every few months gets hurt and has to go away for a little while. I mean, obviously he never misses a step when he comes back. So yeah, in the sense of you can plug and play him wherever you want. He works. It's just, it's the availability thing for me. But I mean, I wouldn't fault anyone calling him the ace. He certainly is talented enough for that, for sure.
He most definitely is. And I would consider him an ace personally, but he's missing some criteria for that ace. Anybody who beats Kenny Omega is an ace. And if they beat him twice in 7 days, they are the alpha. So this is a nice little tie-in here to Don Callis and Takeshita I gotta get the T at the end because I've been saying Takeshka. It's Takesta.
But if you mispronounce that one more time, Don Callis is gonna bust through your wall like a Kool-Aid man, stab you in the eye with a screwdriver.
Oh yeah! Oh god, that'd be amazing. It's like saying Candyman 3 times. Yeah. So here comes out Don Callis and Kinesuke Takesta, and they are out there. It's now the Alpha Kinesuke Takeshita.
I like that. I like it.
I love the Alpha moniker with him. I think that's a good thing. Now he just needs a little bit of music to him. I know that's what you guys say. I like the one note. I am a big fan of the one note because I'm a horror guy. I dig it.
Start with it. Give it some actual goddamn music, though.
Less is more.
No.
Music. But so he unveils his new painting, and it's their next
masterpiece.
New masterpiece,
Jamie.
Okay. And it's who their next target is. And again, we've talked about this before. You can have a storyline with somebody without having matches with that person. It is okay. And man, the storyline with Callis, the Callis family, and Kenny got to another level because they're going up against his soul, his heart, and they are going to go after none other than Kota Ibushi. And they vow to butcher him, skin him, and they are going to kill him. And then Don Callis says,
yes.
you're going to be at home. You're not going to be able to do anything because you are a helpless, pathetic cuck.
The cuck line was great. What was your thought on the painting itself?
I love it.
It wasn't the best one, I would say, that Don Callis has had.
One, but it's still great.
If you look at just the right side of it, the way Ibushi was and Takeshita with the sword, though, ooh, it was so good.
I love the whole painting gimmick. Like,
yes.
it works for the heel character. It puts Callis's shit just up there even more. It's just such a good, and that's like very old school pro wrestling, just done in a modern way. I love the painting gimmick. Don Callis is just such a wonderful part of every show he's on in the most unlikable way possible, and it's great. Takeshita being the Alpha, one, I think just giving him some kind of nickname, give him a little bit more character is always good. But I also think you probably don't start calling someone the Alpha if you don't have big plans for him.
Oh, yeah.
I think that because there was some concern with Takeshita cooling off a bit from, the original heel turn and all that. But I think this just gives me a little bit more assurance that they still see a lot with him in the future. This segment was fantastic. Like I said, Don Callis is one of the best parts of the show every week. I assume Takeshita and Ibushi is going to happen at Wrestle Dream, which is another one of those matches that, throw it on there, sign me up. I'm here for it.
Please give me that. And this is the one thing I would say of the night that I said it was this, not surprise, but kind of the one setup bit they did that was a little something. It was like, oh yeah, even though you kind of could figure it out, right? And you were, it's not necessarily the most far-reaching thing. They're still going after ancillary to Kenny Omega, but in a different way. I really, really, really like the Alpha moniker. The way they're doing it too, because to this point, like I said, you're not having Takeshita speak at all, and you got Callis, who not getting necessarily, Iron Sheik heat as much, but he still gets that good heat wherever he goes, and it does nothing but just rub off onto Takeshita. So this is all well done, and it's the proper way to take somebody who you're trying to elevate. To Jamie's point, give them 5 minutes on TV without giving them a match, and look what you did. You basically sold 20,000 shirts tonight because of that. Because they're gonna start printing off if they haven't already Alpha shirts and smart.
I'll buy
everywhere.
An Alpha shirt. I will buy an Alpha shirt as long as it's not in black.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be.
It's gonna be.
Shirts. I want to see Don Callis just start walking out in a T-shirt that just says Kenny is a cuck. There's still a lot of those on shopaew.com.
Kenny is a cuck. Oh my God! Yeah,
maybe we should make those and sell those. Oh, that's fantastic. I should make those and put them on totalspotfest.com.
Speaking of new shirts, what is that you're wearing, JJ?
Well, because we are, especially Jamie, but we are, if nothing, we are always committed to the bit.
Dave Skippy.
Turned out really nice.
Yeah. Get yours at totalspotfest.com.
So, yeah. Wrestle Dream, more than likely, I'm in.
Yeah, it's already shaping up to be great. Really quick, with Don Callis, did that segment, I forget the order a little bit. Are we rolling right into the other Don Callis appearance of the night, or is that a little bit later in the show?
We don't have to say chronological. We can roll that in.
Well, it comes right after the Jericho segment. So let's
ties into Jericho a little bit more. Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and get into that, because then we can talk about the ladies match. So
can I get my thoughts on the Jericho segment first?
Absolutely.
Oh, please do.
So, we'll save the ladies match. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Hard pass. That's my thoughts on the
yes.
I mostly asked to go first just to make that joke, but I don't know. Maybe y'all have a different opinion. I doubt it. Is there anything about Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho that interests either of y'all?
No.
Not one damn bit.
No.
And the whole segment,
it felt like they were setting up a send-off, didn't they?
Just fucking pick how you want it to go, one way or the other. This weird, like, oh, we're best friends and this is about respect and we're faces, but we're kind of heels at the same. Like, it was so all over the place for something that nobody gives a shit about anyway.
No.
That, like, I feel silly just getting annoyed by it. But when Jamie, you're saying earlier you were almost gonna fall asleep during the episode, I wish I would have fallen asleep for like the 8 minutes this took up my TV tonight.
It was so dumb. Like, it was so dumb. Like, the crowd was dead silent. As we know, as a wrestler, you want to have some kind of reaction, and no one would care. And I understand they're trying to give Sammy Guevara his push, his rub to get away from Jericho. I think it's very obvious he's going to win.
Just get him away from him. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like, get this and move on. For all of us. Like, Tony, for all of us, just make it stop. Like, make it stop, man.
I feel like playing the Sarah McLachlan music here whenever we talk about Jericho.
They even have a video package with like the sad, sappy music of Jericho and Sammy, just in case you had forgot. They've been doing the same bullshit for 4 straight years now, and it hasn't been entertaining in at least a year. Like, as much as it pains me to say this, I don't think Sammy Guevara is going to beat Jericho next week, and I don't think this is over.
No, and I think that our friend Rob made mention in the chat here that, excuse me, that it felt, that's the note I put down here, it felt like a send-off, right? It felt like they're it's like a send-off match for Sammy to go on paternity leave, which, congratulations. Good. Cool. Take some time off. Be with your newborn baby. I get it.
We're all proud of you.
Absolutely. You guys deserve it. But this, don't care about. This makes nothing. This is literally just Jericho wanting his TV time is what this is. And I'm so over it because we've beat this horse to death enough. But come on. You could have given me a second women's match. You know,
I tried to set you up with that.
Come on. You could have given me a 6-minute women's match. You could. Jade Cargill squashing somebody in preparation for frickin' Friday. That would have been better for.
I literally texted my wife afterwards because she's out of town and was watching Dynamite, and I just texted her, that segment could have been an email. That's how I felt. Like,
best. Yeah, we can't go anywhere from there, Jamie. That's it.
All right,
that might need to become a shirt too. That segment could have been an email.
Yeah.
But legitimate question. As much as we like to rag on them, and if you want to pop in the chat, if maybe you have an idea. Let's say Sammy loses to Jericho next week and leaves for a set period of time, whatever it may be. even when he comes back, and people normally get that pop when they come back, like people just like to see returns. Is there anything you were interested in seeing Sammy do at all?
No. Heather hit the nail on the head to answer that question for us.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
For those of y'all not in the chat, Heather said if Sammy was ever supposed to be a face, God wouldn't have made him look so punchable, and that is one of the truest statements I've ever heard.
He was a face for 5 minutes when he was with his old girlfriend. He proposed to her, the whole thing, and then he wins the TNT title from Miro. And it was a great moment. It was a fantastic moment. And then literally like 2 weeks later, everyone's like, God, I'm sick of this guy.
I have yet to speak with anyone who has an opinion other than Sammy Guevara is only interesting when he's flipping off high shit.
I mean, athletically, he's got good ring skill. He can wrestle, right? And he does the flippy space shit, which I love. Cool, right? That's literally it, I mean,
are you saying he's the Lance Storm of high flyers?
If you ever compare Sammy Guevara and Lance Storm again, I'm busting through your wall like the Kool-Aid man.
Jamie's just trying to get out of responsibilities with all the girls, the softball, and the wife and stuff. You need someone to come beat him up, put him in a cast or something. I can't drive. I'm sorry.
So let me start this. With all due respect, no, I love Lance Storm. I do, but he had no personality. Like, he was just an amazing wrestler who could not talk, had zero personality, but he always made everybody look like $1 million. I'll give him that. That's his flowers. But I'm saying Sammy is a good wrestler. It has no personality, at all.
Sammy, when he first came in, when AEW started, he did stand out a lot more. But since then, they have signed several dozen other guys that can athletically do everything he can.
And more.
Like, why would I ever care about a Sammy Guevara match when you have Swerve Strickland, who does everything Sammy does 1,000,000 times better?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that there's just not really anything there. I think, we've seen him do some cool stuff, normally off a ladder or off a cage, or like he can jump off high things. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Darby Allin does that shit all the time. Swerve does a lot of real cool high flying. AR Fox does a lot of real cool high flying.
Yeah, you got the Lucha Brothers.
You got so much more of that on the show now. And I think Sammy being with Jericho for this long has really held him back. And they kind of touched on that in the segment tonight without, I just almost had to stop myself. Like, why am I even still talking about the segment? But they kind of touched on that without going all in on it. Like, if Jericho, after all the kind of sappy stuff, would have been like, I always thought you needed to be the man aside from Jericho. If he would have followed that up with, but the reason you're not is you're not the man I thought you were. Now we've got some real heat, and at least there's something to go on to give you some interest instead of, oh, we're going to shake hands and be friends afterwards because we don't know how to do anything else.
And it's Captain, the booking is just done by Captain Indecisiveness over here, I mean, it's like you're telling everybody to their face, Sammy needs to leave Jericho to be his own man to make it to the top. But you're not doing it because just effing do it. Let Sammy run. I mean, Jungle Boy.
Do it.
Jamie hated Jungle Boy by himself for the longest time, right? And he tried several things, and then they found something that freaking worked, right? Do that with Sammy. Like, you're trying to elevate your pillars. Well, give him a shot. Let him try and run as a face. Let him try and run as a heel. Let him try and run something else. Who knows, right? It might fall flat. Cool. Try something else. And eventually, keep trying things until you decide, well, you're just going to be the spot guy for other people, or you find something that sticks. Who knows?
I think, and really quick, going back to the Lance Storm comparison that we're not making ever, just making that clear.
He's very angry at that, by the way.
If Sammy just became the guy that does cool athletic shit, but just goes out there and puts people over and makes other people look like $1 million, I got a little more time for Sammy on my TV.
That's not a bad role to have.
But he's been positioned as this budding star while having none of the qualities you want in a star outside of can flip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well.
So let's move on. Let's just move on.
Let's please move on.
Let's just move on. Let's talk about the women's match, because I have thoughts. 1 is way too short. 2 is very obvious. And 3, I think I know what's happening at Grand Slam.
Ooh, okay. Well, why don't you go and give it to us, Jamie? Give us your thoughts first.
Okay, well, first off, Tony steals it, but Tony comes out in Outcast with the Outcast stuff, but they have that interview with Saraya afterwards where she basically
Ruby.
says she's
Ruby.
and Ruby, yes, and Ruby without green hair for the.
Yeah, she got black hair. Yeah.
Yeah. So that whole thing happened. Like, it looks like she's out of there, which is fine because she has lost her ever loving mind. Okay. But Tony wins, so Tony's gonna face Saraya at Grand Slam. Tony's winning.
Okay, she's gonna win. That's
she is absolutely gonna win. And, ladies and gentlemen, Thunder Rosa is gonna come back, and you're finally gonna get that Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa for the Women's Championship at Wrestle Dream.
Okay.
Mark Stradamus has spoken.
I think that's a very strong possibility under one condition, and that one condition is that Mercedes Moné is not ready to go by Wrestle Dream. I think if she's there, you 100% throw her out there. But I think Tony and returning Thunder Rosa would be, I mean, I'd be down to see that. It'd be awesome. I hope they do it. But I think if you've got Mercedes, you absolutely throw her on your pay-per-view there.
Right. If you got Mercedes, you're throwing her against Saraya.
But would you, though? Because they have that history.
So
that's why I would do it, yes. Because that would sell. That would sell like a son of a bitch. Come on.
If your plan is to bring in Mercedes Moné and give her your title, you absolutely keep it on Saraya and have her beat Saraya for it.
Boom.
I think if you're a ways off for Mercedes coming in, I think put the belt on Tony and
I'm with you both on that.
Yeah.
But I think if she's healthy and ready to go and you've got the deal inked out, it's good to go, put the belt on her. She's hot like lava. And your women's division needs heat somehow.
And then still bring in Julia.
Well, then you can set up Julia. You know, they have Full Gear's in L.A., right?
Yeah, at the Forum.
Hey, Mercedes, Julia in L.A.? I'm not Mark Stradamus, but I'd buy that 1,000,000 times over.
Buy that for $1.
If only.
Really quick, I'm interested in y'all's opinion on this. Similar, basically same question I asked about Sammy Guevara. Is there anything with Saraya, like, going forward that really interests y'all? Outside of, like, maybe the Mercedes match if you're going to drop the title, but does she do anything for y'all on a wrestling TV show?
I mean, she's a place filler of sorts, right? You know, she's a familiar face. I don't think that, you know, for me personally, not really, but I understand that she's a familiar face that can get people eyes, you know? So that's the only thing I would say that she's doing.
we got no from Big Rob on that too.
I mean, not really, right?
It sounds like, to me, it just seems like she has a lot of like credit built from the potential she had a decade ago in NXT and that early run on the main roster, but we really haven't seen anything comparable since.
No.
And I feel like having her holding the title, right, it is a bit of a placeholder, but I feel like it almost sets the women's division back a little bit. Not that there's really much backtracking they can do.
I mean, your back's against the wall. You can't go much further back.
So let me play devil's advocate with that.
Please.
Please do.
So I personally, I'm right there with you guys. But you got to think about it. We're marks. We love wrestling. We are wrestling nerds. Like, we literally are on a podcast talking about wrestling. Okay? And we have our great fans. Don't forget to like and subscribe. they aren't the casual fans. Saraya is the casual fans person because she has that notoriety, you know. Hell, she made this awesome tweet about how she kept going after cameramen, and she says she doesn't trust men with a camera or whatever. I'm like, oh
great.
my god, way to make fun of yourself. I love you. Like, that's the kind of stuff. Like, she is the casual fan. People know Paige. They know her from that. That's going to get you just a couple extra buys because they know her name, not because of what she's actually doing for the company or in the ring more specifically, because, you know, but she does get the casual fan involved. That's the only thing. Like, for us, she does not a damn thing for us.
But does she still get the casual fan involved? Like, I understand bringing her in originally, but it's been some time. I don't know that she's still pulling any casual fans. I think anyone that would have been interested that she showed up would have tuned in and checked it out by now. I could be wrong on that, though. I don't know for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she almost seems like what people didn't like WWE doing with their women's division back in the day. It just,
yeah. Well, that's not.
I don't know how to articulate it right, but
it's not an unfair comparison. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not an unfair comparison, and it sucks that that's kind of where the women's division is in AEW right now. But
she's the last Divas champion ever.
Yeah, and we'd also have great hope for what it can be. You know, you'll have Thunder Rosa coming back. You're going to have Jamie Hayter coming back. We talked about the people they have on the roster. Some of the other women, Toni Storm is fantastic, right? We'll talk. I do want to just make mention real fast about, because I still am all on board for the whole Bullet Club Gold angle that Austin brought up last week. I hope to God that happens. But Ruby is, everybody, despite my proclivities, Ruby is a fantastic worker and solid, reliable face, recognizable face to have there. Willow Nightingale's a flat-out star in the making. Sky Blue's got good potential. You've got Athena's over there doing similar stuff, right? You've got Billy Starks has so much potential you can't even measure it, right? So you've got good pieces there. And again, until he figures out how to work them, I don't mind if they do an old WWE kind of angle with Saraya, because if nothing else, to Jamie's point, yes, someone turns on TV and goes, I know her, she's that wrestler, there's a movie about her and her family I saw on something sometime, right?
With Florence Pugh,
familiar. Who's in freaking everything. God damn, she's on fire.
I love Florence Pugh. Fight me. I she's hilarious.
No need to fight you. I'm with
you. I think she's a great actress. Midsummer's one of my favorite of her entire catalog, but I'm a big Florence Pugh fan. It's in her as the Black Widow. Even though that movie was not good, she's hilarious.
Yeah, the movie was bad, but she was good in it.
Yeah, the superhero pose popped me every time, and the fact trivia. So shocker, we're gonna do some movie trivia. She actually banged up Scarlett Johansson about that, between on set, and then they worked it in the movie.
Fantastic. Gosh, she's
nice. It's she was giving her so much shit about it, oh, we gotta work it in, and so they made it a whole thing, which was even better. All right, so Tony's amazing, but Tony is gonna lose it. So I agree. There's gonna be, if Mercedes Moné is ready, but do you save Mercedes for Full Gear in LA? I feel like you do.
It depends on how early you have her.
How ready is she ready? I mean, are you really trying to sell this?
Her wrestling at Wrestle Dream does not exclude her from also wrestling at Full Gear. And I think the drawing power is the same either way. I think people that were going to tune in for one are going to tune in for the other as well. Going back to, hey, it's a familiar name the casual fan knows that has the title. Mercedes Moné is a much better option for that than Saraya. Much more recently was in the ring. I think if you can just jump right into that, I think it kickstarts your women's division a bit. It makes it better. Nothing wrong with waiting until Full Gear, but
you get the potential for Julia in LA. Like I said, you've been trying to get Julia over here. I don't know what her winter looks like, but if she's available for Full Gear, Mercedes and Julia, that could main event Full Gear.
I can main event anything.
Main event's my headspace right now because I want to see that.
I bet you do. All right, so let's move on quickly.
The way you said that was not very appreciative.
But was it though? So we have our fun Roderick Strong moment of the night. First of many. When MJF calls Roderick Strong a simp. I don't know, like that whole thing, because his neck was injured, so he wasn't gonna be here this week, and all of this stuff. So MJF vows to choke out Samoa Joe.
Oh,
we're gonna put a pin.
Hold on, we did miss something. We wanted to talk about with Jericho. We were gonna talk about the whole.
Oh yeah.
Austin, we wanted to talk about the Daniel Garcia.
Yes.
Oh, I got a good reference for that one too. So yes,
we glossed right over it, getting right to the women's four-way.
Well, that'll happen.
Immediately following the Jericho Sammy Guevara segment, and immediately turning the show around for me from the
Jericho Sammy Guevara segment.
I do really appreciate them immediately cutting to Daniel Garcia backstage, and Garcia asking, why does anyone care about those two? Here's what I've been doing. Putting over the Arizona Cardinals, doing his dance after scoring a touchdown, putting over going viral, and reminding you that of all the JAS and all that stuff, Daniel Garcia is still the one with the most potential out of all that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And if that wasn't already good enough, then we get the man himself, Don Callis, coming to invite Daniel Garcia to join the family. Please give me Daniel Garcia and the Don Callis family.
Yes.
I need that. I absolutely need that.
Yes. All in favor?
Yes. And then Daniel Garcia dancing in his face, then dancing off, and Don Callis immediately popping for the dancing and saying it's going to make money. Let's go make some money. Like,
yeah, that's funny. That's
a wonderful segment.
It's so good. Give me that. So, like I said, they need to have more people in the family. Not too many more, but more people. Daniel Garcia, yes.
So he is Das Wonder Kid, Alex Wright 2.0.
Wow.
Old WCW fans.
Yeah, you're pulling.
I think he's Alex Wright like 12.0. Not that there's been 11 in between, but I just want some separation between how good Daniel Garcia is compared to Alex Wright. But yeah.
Alex Wright X7.
The dance getting over, it's kind of the same thing. People today will still do the Alex Wright dance.
Yeah.
That it's old school, but it works. It gets over. And like, who would have thought, a year ago, watching Daniel Garcia going out there and wrestling Danielson for a series of matches, incredible matches, that it would be just doing a silly dance that would really put him over the top.
Well, who would have thought that there was anything about Daniel Garcia that was not just appreciation for his wrestling that would put him, that would stick? Because our longtime stance has always been, we love this man when the bell sounds, but my God, is he nothing outside of it, right? No personality, can't talk. He has no character. He's just a guy from Buffalo, right? And then they leaned on that in the best way with this ridiculous New Yorker dance. I don't even know what else to call it.
It's so good.
I love it.
Just a quick thought on that. Instead of Jericho and Guevara that no one really cares about next week at Grand Slam, why couldn't we get Guevara and Daniel Garcia with Jericho as a special ref to play off the breakdown of the JAS? Jericho could even tell Sammy, the JAS was about bring that out of you, making you a star, a great sports entertainer. Daniel Garcia figured it out. Why haven't you yet? Now you've got something more interesting, and I would much rather see Daniel Garcia wrestle Sammy Guevara than Chris Jericho.
Two reasons. That makes sense, and you thought of it and not Chris Jericho, so that's why it's not happening.
That's accurate. All right, so the next match, the match was fine. We're just going to be real quick on the match. Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. The battle of Page and Cage.
3.
Yes. Hanger wins. Shocker. But that's not what this is about.
No.
This is 100% about the Page promo / Swerve promo and their match getting set up for Wrestle Dream. So here's the thing. Like I think all of us are pretty high on Swerve, right?
Absolutely. Love
them. I don't know how much higher I can get on him, but man, he keeps bringing the heat. And it looked like he had a black eye. Right, the only one you saw. Like it looked like his eyes, like he might have a broken nose. Yeah. So, dude, this match is gonna steal the show, guaranteed. Stamp it. 100%. Even though the Zack Sabre Jr. and Brian Danielson's on that.
I'm saying that's a bold statement, Cotton.
Like, well, we know what we're getting out of that. Like, I think we already know. Like, Meltzer's already given it 26 stars. So this right here, like, man, this one can do it. This one can steal the show, elevate Swerve to that main event because he does want that spot. He deserves that damn spot. Holy shit.
I think Heather said it best earlier in chat, which is Swerve legit looks and has the charisma of a movie villain. And she's absolutely right. I mean, it's just the stance, the way he looks. Granted, I've had complaints about his surrounding cast and the way they framed him a little bit. To be truth be told, you don't need to have anybody with him.
I love Prince Nana though. I love him.
I love Nana. I just don't get the whole like Brian. But Austin was saying last week about Brian Cage. Why? Who cares, right? Same thing. Yeah. Who cares?
Big monster. Like everybody wants to be Shawn Michaels and Diesel.
Well, they had a decent when they had like Tattoo Face and Parker Boudreaux as like the big dumb bodyguard guys. Cool, right? Brian Cage is whatever, and then the Gates of Agony. That doesn't matter because Swerve's almost independent of his faction that he's in. For real.
Yeah. I think Swerve with a slightly better cast around him, I think it makes him a better heel character. But yeah, surrounding him with people you don't really care about doesn't really do anything. Brian Cage did have updated makeup this week. That was the face paint was a little bit better. It still didn't look good, but it looked better.
It was 1992 Bash at the Beach Sting with the single lightning bolt.
Yeah, he was Ace Frehley. Yeah.
I'm glad in the post-match promo, Hangman called out Swerve. Like, you said you wanted my spot. Why'd you send him to fight me? I like that part of it. I was actually wondering when Brian Cage started beating. That was like there was a few things that I think could have been done a little bit better. Hangman just keeping his back to Brian Cage. Brian Cage didn't leave. You're staring at the ramp the entire time you're talking Swerve. Like, there is a massive jacked dude that wants to beat your ass just sitting outside. That's friends with the guy you're yelling at. Maybe have some awareness.
Hey, this is pro wrestling. No one has awareness, okay?
That is true. That is true. And actually, speaking of that, I had told y'all earlier I wanted to go and listen to a different match. But can we pop into a little stash of knowledge right now?
I think it's a perfect time to get some knowledge, It
was actually this one I was thinking of. It happened in another match too. But let's get into a little stash of knowledge really quick.
Let's go. Stash of knowledge time, y'all.
Tony Khan, if you're one of the handful of people watching this stream right now, you're not, but let's pretend. I'm asking you directly because I'm not going to ask anyone at the other company, but all pro wrestling in general. For the love of God, can we please stop the mid-match distraction where someone else's music plays? Why is that a thing? This annoyed the living shit out of me. It seems like such a minor thing, but they get going a little bit of the match. Hangman sets up for the buckshot the first time. Then Swerve's music just starts playing. He comes and stands on the ramp as a distraction. I know kayfabe's not a real thing. I know, like you said, Jamie, it's pro wrestling. Sometimes shit just happens because it needs to happen. But just from like a basic psychology standpoint, who's the guy with the headset sitting in the truck watching a match go on in this live nationally televised broadcast and someone's like, hey, play my music so I can walk out there? Like, bro, you got a job. Like, is that guy not getting fired for playing music out of order when it's not supposed to be? Why is that still a thing? And why did you need that music there? You could have easily had Prince Nana start getting Paige's attention, pointing to the ramp where Swerve's standing to distract him for a second. then Cage can take over. The German into the ring off the apron was dope. I'll give them that. But this happened again in the main event as well, which not main event, but the tag match that we'll get to. Just can we please put it to the rest? Can we please, for the rest of pro wrestling history, stop just randomly playing people's music during a match for the run-in and having your babyface look like a dipshit just turning around like there's not a guy they're about to beat in the middle of the ring while that's happening.
To play devil's advocate, if I had entrance music, I'd want it played whenever, wherever, right?
Yeah, but
I show up 5 minutes late to a meeting, play my music.
In theory, this is a well-run organization where people are in charge of playing music, and you're like, "Hey, I want to run out during his match." They're gonna be like, "Yeah, that's not when we play music here." But that is match going on.
That is also not as an old a trope, but that's a pretty classic wrestling trope. You know,
it's been done too many times, and it's never. I don't want to say never. There was a time. There's been a few themes that it had to happen. Stone Cold Steve Austin with the glass shattering.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say Stone Cold or The Rock.
I'm there with Stone Cold. A little bit with the NWO sometimes. You get the NWO theme just going on. But I mean, the entire WCW and kind of the booking that sent them downhill was just the NWO just showing up all the time for no reason anyway. But we didn't need it there. 99% of the time, the music's not needed. And it literally just makes your babyface look like an idiot. Like, oh, what's going on? Can I take a timeout in this match? Like, you don't go to a Royals game and while the pitcher's like got a 2-0 count, getting ready to throw, you just bust out to take me out to the ball game because why not? Like, you
haven't seen the Royals lately, have you?
I have not.
But I mean, you know, when you have a replacement pitcher come in, if you have a relief pitcher, they have music.
Like, and there's a dedicated stop in the action when that's happening.
That's fair.
Stops, and they give him that leeway to make his entrance.
And to your point, when you had Stone Cold's music come out, someone's getting their ass whipped. It wasn't Stone Cold's going to come out and watch you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it was a weird, awkward, like, break in the match that, like, obviously telegraphed the cutoff from a million miles away. And it also is another thing that, not that they're really paying any attention to Brian Cage, but, like, can they bury him any further? You had to think a few weeks ago where he literally just helped Swerve beat up, you know, AR Fox and Darby and all them. Hey. He's standing right next to Swerve, and Darby's like, "Who's your partner for All In now?" And Swerve just, not him.
This guy standing right next to me. No, not him.
This big jack guy who just did my bidding. Nah.
Brian Cage did give himself a nice hefty paycheck when he re-signed, so there's that, you know. So
hey, you pay me enough, I'll job out. Let's go.
Fuck yeah.
It's like they're going out of their way to explicitly tell everybody Brian Cage is not important. He's just here because we need a body.
Yeah.
Which again is so odd considering, and I know you said overall you're not like the biggest in-ring Brian Cage fan, but over the course of his career, he's been a top star over in Impact, right? He was a big. They tried to make it a big deal when he came over. It was during the middle of the pandemic, so yeah, there's no reaction, right? But you know, and for what it's worth, he can still get in the ring, and even though he's a big jack muscly guy, right? He can still do some crazy stuff. You know, he does good work in the ring, and for some reason, he's just jobber number 3.
Yeah, just a guy. And like, Brian Cage does nothing for me personally, but I can see the attraction there. I can see why people would like him. I can see things you could do with him that would be productive and good for the show. Not my cup of tea, but having him as the useless henchman of Swerve is probably not the best spot for Brian Cage.
It does make
well
sense.
Said.
So
I think you could even have him with Swerve, but just make him seem like a little bit more of a threat and a bigger deal. They tried building this up like this is Hangman and Brian Cage 3, but this is not the same Brian Cage we saw in Hangman and Brian Cage 1 and 2.
Right.
So in fairness, you kind of want it to be like Big Bill and Ricky Starks.
Not necessarily, because I think Big Bill is going to settle into more of just a heater role, but it works better for Big Bill. I think for Brian Cage, if you're going to have him with Swerve, I think you need to elevate him a bit, and not to an equal status, of course, but make him seem like a bigger deal and more of a threat rather than just guy that loses all the time.
So take note, wrestling promoters out there. Okay, Rob, if you're taking notes out there, taking notes. No playing music randomly in the middle of a match for no reason. Okay.
Yeah.
Stop
Let's put that to rest.
All right, fantastic stash of knowledge here. Let's get back to the show. If you don't mind, Jamie, I do want to, because we did skip over one little thing right before this match. So MJF had a promo with, it was a video from last week.
Yeah, I was kind of talking about it a little bit. Yeah,
you got into a little bit, but we did miss the one of my favorite segments of the night, which is a segment that happened about 17 years ago, 16 years ago, something like that. Maybe not that long ago, but he starts doing, because Samoa Joe is in there, and he's talking about who his potentials are going to be. He buries, Roddy for a quick second, says his injury is fake, and then talks about Samoa Joe. And he pulls out, word for word, with a little bit of change because of, a little bit of stuff, the Scott Steiner math promo from TNA.
If anything, MJF is a historian, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God. 143 and a third % chance of winning. 144. I just, as an old TNA mark, I loved every second of that.
I am probably in the minority on this. I did not like that part of the segment at all. I think it was fine. Like moments before, he gets super serious and he's telling Joe, "I'm gonna choke you out." Cool. Like, see some fire, some edge from MJF. I think if you would have done the percentages, the math promo before that, started with the silly shit and then went to the real serious, I think it's much better.
That would have been better.
But to go from, "I'm gonna choke you out," and then just to basically, word for word, just tell the same promo, change it. Like, keep running with that thread of being serious. And when you cut that as a more serious promo, so now it's a little bit different instead of just, "Oh, I'm gonna recite this promo you cut 15 years ago." It's not really a deep cut either. It's a literal fucking meme these days. Like, it gets started on the internet all the time.
Yep.
I think if you would put more of a personal touch, and instead of just reciting it, had gone from "I choke you out" to, everyone knows Samoa Joe, you're a big math guy, I got some percentages for you, and cut it as more of just adding on to why he's going to beat Samoa Joe if he wins or something. I think that would have been better. This kind of went back to the early days of the Cole and MJF. It got a pop. It was kind of silly. But I wish he wouldn't have followed such a serious tone with immediately going into the silly math promo.
I hear you.
That's fair.
It marked me out, though. I liked it.
Yeah.
Nostalgia pop for sure. You're not going to hear anyone on a wrestling show start throwing out the percentages and not laugh about it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it could have been done a lot better.
Well said. Speaking of memes, the Christian on commentary match, that's why I'm calling it, because I don't care about anything else that happened.
Nope.
Because, my God, everybody loves Nick Wayne, but he needs to learn how to sell. That's all I know.
I don't like what they're doing with him. First of all, he's getting too much TV time. He needs
over so many other good talents.
Yeah, and you're just basically making him Baby Darby, and I'm like, God damn it, don't do this, Tony. You're squandering a generational talent. Stop it.
So the highlight of this match 100% is Christian Cage on commentary.
Oh yeah.
Checking out Nick Wayne's mom on Instagram and all of that. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Not posting up bikini pics.
Yeah, not enough bikini pics.
Don't worry, I sent her a private message. We'll take care of that.
He is so that was the match for me. I don't even care. Yeah, Darby and Nick won. Shocker. But I have zero cares in the world about that match at all.
If Tony Khan knows what's good for him. He'll take Nick Wayne off of Darby and put him inside of
Come on,
Christian's.
ROH.
What? Well, that for one needs to happen in general, but inside Christian's little stable. Austin, are you still there? You look frozen.
Uh-oh. Somebody's frozen.
Hang
like
tight,
I
guys.
was.
Yeah, Austin's having a little technical difficulties here real fast. So
3-minute warning. No, sorry.
So yeah. I slid into your mom's DMs, Gage. I slid into your mom's DMs.
Yeah. So he's got Christian. I heard you have a father, Cage, and then now it's Christian. I slid your mom's DMs, Cage. Oh my God. Yes.
Absolutely. Put him under Christian's wing. That's the way you want to do this. That's how we make sure that they're not squandering Nick Wayne like he currently is.
I think his internet went down.
I think he did go down. Oh, he's
coming
back.
Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Well,
For those of you listening to us, Austin has a
in the
technical
Shadow Realm. Like, I could hear y'all talking, asking if I was frozen, but I could not respond. I don't know what was going on.
A couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I just straight. Oh well, that's when my Discord just goes.
So anyway, for those of you listening to us here, thank you. But Austin just had some technical difficulties. So anyway, he's back.
I returned.
Yeah. So we'll see. I just see like if he keeps going on this path, what he's doing with Nick Wayne, as doing Baby Darby stuff, it's not good. Darby is such a one-off in general, right? I mean, he's stupid over. All the girls love him. He sells $1 million of merchandise. Cool, right? You know, Jamie hates his matches. I get it. You know, don't do the same thing with Nick Wayne. You know, do it right. Put him on ROH, like Jamie said. Put him under Christian's wing. Do something else, please. Don't mess this up.
I feel like they're moving towards putting him with Christian. I feel like this has been running a little long to not have that payoff, and I'm 100% here for it. I also think just turning him heel and putting him with Christian makes it a lot easier just to have him lose fairly regularly.
Right.
Which, for an 18-year-old, that's perfectly fine.
He should be losing a lot right now.
Yeah. Then once he's ready, you can turn him back into a face when you're ready to really push him. But, yeah, I think he needs to get away with Darby. He needs to get with Christian for a while. I think it'll just make it more interesting in general.
I mean, I hate to even put it this way, but you know, Billy Starks, she got injured, but in ROH they basically taken her and made her into like the minion. You know, Athena's begrudgingly accepted her as the minion, right, as her little like worker bee, and it's done so much more for her character than it would just her randomly going out there for matches. You know, do the same thing with Nick Wayne.
Nick Wayne needs to cut his teeth on Rampage. So you have Christian Cage and some feuds or whatever, you know, and then it's like, you're going to face Nick Wayne. Like, and you know he's going to get the shit kicked out of him. It's fine. He's that guy for them. Like, you have Luchasaurus is the big muscle guy who gets all the wins. Yep. And then you have Nick get all the losses. And then here comes Christian and clean it up.
Look how it worked out for Wheeler Yuta, right? Because that was Wheeler Yuta at the BCC.
Yeah.
Now, Wheeler's at a different level career-wise. We know that. But
well said.
This match also, I believe, had it started and then we played someone else's music to distract the baby faces. Now, it was Christian's music to go on commentary, so I will give it a pass because I would rather watch Christian enter than a Darby Allin match.
And that does kind of fit Christian's character MO too, right?
And at least this was like right after, like as soon as the match started, like,
yeah,
okay.
I don't mind
Maybe
that.
he was going out there for commentary and they were just a little late. You know, like I can kind of buy that. It wasn't 7 minutes into the match.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and jump into the main event, gentlemen. And Roderick Strong with the Kingdom going up against the Samoa Joe. And when people chant, Joe's going to kill you, it kind of happened tonight. Poor Roddy. Poor Roddy. Like his neck injury might have been fake, but man, Joe beat the ever-loving shit out of this guy. Got the coquina clutch, got the dub, and then beat him up afterwards even more. Like, damn. Then here comes freaking Adam Cole, and he makes Adam Cole tap out, and he's like looking right at the freaking or pass out. Sorry, not tap out. Pass out, looking right at the camera, just yelling John MJF, and it's like, I already knew I wanted this match. Like, you didn't need to add this extra flair, but thank you. That's kind of how I feel about this. Like, some of the times I don't like it.
It's the best of Samoa Joe, and it's like, cool, if you're pumping up a big match. I mean, I personally think Claudio and Eddie Kingston needs to be the finisher for next week, but it's going to be the main event. We know that, right? Yeah. I mean, it's going to be this for the main event, the world title match. That aside, we're getting the best of Samoa Joe, right? This is my favorite Samoa Joe personally, but it's just that vicious, violent, everything, no holds barred. I'm gonna rip you and everything I'm gonna take your whole family from you and take everything you own and burn your house down and kick your dog in its teeth, and fantastic. And the Roddy work was great too, even to the point where he was trying to like not put on the whole thing after the match. Like, it's over, the stick's over. He sees Adam Cole and then immediately falls down, and it's like, oh, my neck. That's all great and good too. But this was about Samoa Joe returning to Samoa Joe form in his entirety. Give me more,
please.
Yeah. Joe is just doing incredible work right now. Feel like there is a 0% chance he wins the title next week.
Unfortunately, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of wish he didn't still have the Ring of Honor TV title, because I think him carrying the Ring of Honor TV title makes it seem even less likely that he'll win the AEW World title. Like, there's just something about the distance in booking between those belts that Joe is above the Ring of Honor TV title now.
Oh, way above it.
That's supposed to be a like a kind of like an elevation title, right? Like somebody you're elevating. That's how it's supposed to go to.
Yeah, it's like an Intercontinental.
Yeah.
And I get putting it on Joe for a while when you relaunch Ring of Honor and all that. Sure. That's fine. But yeah, let's throw that to some people that need an elevator, and let's keep Joe in the proper AEW main event scene, because Joe is one of the best in-ring heels they have right now, or anyone has right now. I would love to see Joe take the title off MJF, and for the MJF Roddy Adam Cole shit to play out on its own. Not going to happen. But I would like to see that. And I would like to see, give me a little while of Joe just defending that title in brutal main events until you're ready to transfer it over to someone else.
I mean, that's great booking.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I don't think like the MJF title run has gotten more interesting the last few months. The Adam Cole stuff started a little silly, but it's really went out. But you've got so much story there that could be done without the AEW title that I want to see a champion. Well, and Joe is a champion.
We've long said this too, and about. And I know, Jamie, you're real big about this, especially when we're looking at picks and doing stuff. Is like he can lose that. He doesn't need that to be who he is, right? MJF has gone past the point. He doesn't need the belt. He's MJF. He's one of the biggest names in wrestling just because of who he is now, right? And to Austin's point, it's almost more compelling, the Roddy Adam Cole stuff, especially if there's a big turn coming from Adam Cole, which is probably the only path they're going to go to get the belt off of him. Let's be honest, right? I'm with you. I think that you can do something, even if you take Joe as a transitional champion, to move it to a different story arc completely. Cool. Joe can fit that. Joe can fit in any belt. He's a Leatherman. He can do all the things, right?
Joe's exactly what you want in a transitional champion. He's believable enough to beat anybody.
He's recognizable.
And anybody beating him is an accomplishment.
Right. And he's recognizable. So
yeah.
Put him on the poster, and I was like, I know that guy.
Mm-hmm. And it's a shame too, because I know the match is a Grand Slam and he's not going to win. But there's also, here's the other thing. We already know, like, they're in New York, right? And Tony's a big fan of letting the hometown people win.
Yep.
Adverse to what WWE does. They want to make sure the hometown people always lose in their hometown. So obviously Eddie Kingston's going to win. So he's going to get the ROH title and he's going to have the IWGP.
That's
which
a great
makes
way to close out your show there, man. That's
perfect. So
fantastic.
like it tarnishes it for me for Joe because like that's going to be a pay-per-view quality match that they are going to put on. And like, do they make it where it ends like double count out, something weird like that? So then they bring it to Wrestle Dream, like, do they do something like that? Because realistically, you have this, and then you have 2 weeks in order to give MJF another opponent at Wrestle Dream, or do you just continue this?
Yeah, go ahead. Good.
No. It's like that's your option.
I mean,
I don't think you can do a quick. You don't have enough time to do a quick turnaround for Adam Cole MJF 2, which I feel like that's going to happen at the Forum.
That's the only build you've done otherwise. The only groundwork you've laid, and you basically have backburned that story far enough now that's not realistic for October, I don't think.
I think it's more likely than not that there is not a definitive finish next week. I think we get a whole lot of overbooked nonsense, and not even in like the bad way. It just seems like one of those matches that there's going to be a lot going on in the finish. I think we're going to get Roddy. I think we're going to get Adam Cole involved. And I think your best move for Wrestle Dream is a 4-way with Joe, MJF, Adam Cole, and Roddy for the title.
I'm good with that.
And then because I don't think there's an AEW title match for Wrestle Dream that's going to be a bigger match than Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. I think if you do a 4-way, you can throw it on earlier in the night and you can close with Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. Or if you've got another New Japan guy, you've got some other kind of dream match going on, but you could put something bigger on top with the world title in a 4-way.
You could tag team it. You could do Cole MJF versus Joe and Roddy, which I think would be hilarious.
Yeah, you could do that.
But if you go for a muddy finish, that makes that weird,
Oh, 100% does.
Yeah, I think throwing it in a 4-way, and that gives you on a show that's probably going to be largely wrestling heavy. That gives you a 4-way that's a little bit more story based, as something kind of different to break up the rest of the show. You've got the dynamic of Cole and MJF are friends, but the title's on the line. You've also got all right, what's going on with MJ or Adam Cole and Roddy? Is this where they do some kind of turn? And then you've got the 300-something pound Samoan monster that will rip the other 3 guys' heads off if you can. It's compelling.
Yeah. I mean, you could do the tag team though, and then just have Joe just do everything, and then Roddy gets super pissed at the end. Hi, Hucky. I don't know. He's just typing. Maybe he's a bot. Maybe he's not. Hey, whatever. Just make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, buddy.
I'm just gonna keep putting him in timeout. I have no idea what it is. It's like if you're an actual human being, it's a Russian. Hi, Das Vidanya, whatever. I know.
You sure did.
I think there's a possibility. I really do, because I know how much of a mark Tony Khan really is, right? I think there's a possibility that he ends with Eddie and Claudio and opens.
You get the biggest pot.
Opens with this.
I think that's entirely possible because AEW does have a track record of if the world title is defending on Dynamite, it opens the show. Which, quick shout out to Master Mark Booker Tony Khan. I absolutely love that. Because there's nothing worse than a title match where you're watching the clock and you know when the show is going to end and you know about when it's coming. You open the show with it, it'll go as long as it needs to.
And that's what they did with when they did Omega Danielson. The first Grand Slam, they opened it because he wanted to give it the full time, right?
Yeah.
He put Ruby at the end. Hey, Ruby, knowing that he could trim that match if he needs to, but he wants to give this the time allotment it needs. So cool. You do this. I'm with you, Jamie. We all know this is probably Eddie Kingston winning, right? That makes the most sense. Fantastic move. I like it on so many levels. We'll get into it next week. Put it at the end so you get the big pop to finish. Open with your banger with Samoa Joe.
I'm here for it.
Well, you guys let us know what you think here. Leave a comment. Hit us on Twitter at Total Spotfest. You can also hit us up on TikTok. I haven't changed our graphic yet. I need to add the TikTok logo on there. Yep. I did put the belt on there for you, Jamie. Did you notice your belt?
It is itty bitty. I love it.
I told you it was gonna make it tiny AF, and it is. It's tiny. Jamie's got his belt though.
Hey, me being a champion doesn't identify me. It doesn't identify me. I already know I'm a champion of picks. My track record is there. I don't need to have a big symbol to illustrate that. Everybody knows if they want some picks, they come talk to this guy.
Well, yeah. Yet you were still the person who bitched for at least 5 minutes last week by not having your belt on the graphic. So.
Well, of course. But I don't identify it by it.
Okay. All right. Well, we will not be having picks because it's not a pay-per-view next week. It's on free TV, and we're going to enjoy the hell out of it. We'll be back after Grand Slam to talk about it. So let's see what they do. Let's see what happens to Jade Cargill this Friday too. You know, how they're going to play that off. Like I said, we're a little over 2.5 weeks now till Wrestle Dream, next pay-per-view. So build's going to start happening real soon. But watch us. Oh, excuse me. I had a little gas there. But we'll be back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you guys giving us some of your time. Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not down with Total Spotfest, I got 4 words for you. Sammy, no one cares.
I thought you were going to go Kenny as a cuck, but that was good too.
Oh. Yeah. No, I can't say that about Kenny. I love Kenny.
The 4 right, though. I guess the 4 right for the first time.
You got the number right.
Yeah.
No one cares, Sammy. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Right.